Hello comic fans, here's Earl Grey, continuing my run through Love and Rockets Volume 1 with 3 of the most beautiful covers in my opinion, from issue 22 to 24. Not so much the back cover here by Gilbert, which is just one of his fooling around with modern abstractionism, but he makes up for it on this beautiful cover here with Guadalupe in the arms of one of these ancient statues nearby Palomar. And the most iconic cover of Love and Rockets ever, probably. The cover for issue 24, with Hopey playing bass in the background and Terry shredding the guitar in the foreground. This is a beautiful one. Again, just one of these random doodles of Beto, Gilbert, on the back. But I forgot to show you the back cover of 23, and this is a flip cover here by Jaime, a mock-up kayfabe wrestling cover with Reina Titanian from supposedly Sexy Sports Incorporated from July, whichever year it was, 50 cents for 50 cents. So yeah, these came out originally in '87. With lots of interesting story events unfolding here in the Hoppers universe by Jaime and in the Palomar universe by Gilbert as well. We have Hopey writing a letter back to Maggie, which is pretty important that she reminds Maggie of her presence, because there's a lot of love stuff cooking there in Hoppers. Despite the story is called The Death of Speedy, but the death of Speedy is really just a side note. It happens for real. This guy, Speedy, dies, but very off-panel in a very interesting manner. But the important stuff are all these love relations and so on. So Ray has not so secretly the crush for Maggie, who is at the point being more interested in a guy called Speedy, who has the hots for Esther, Maggie's sister, but that has there are some problems to it, so he tries to make love, or makes love, to one chick named Blanca instead. She's not really a substitute, so Speedy talks about all his love problems of all the girls in the world to Maggie here. And yeah, she suffers quite a bit here, and I think I better get the hell out of here before I rape you. One of the most, just a line that shows how very special Love and Rockets is, even though you can think of, again here, an adult version of Betty and Veronica, or one of these Archie comics. Of course, the art from the old Archie comics were an inspiration not only for Jaime but for Gilbert as well. Yeah, but the story here is, of course, more complicated, more adult in a way. You just have to read some of these dialogues, and it's clear that this is more real in a way. In terms of Gilbert, we have part 2 of Human Dystrophism, in which a serial killer is still on the loose in Palomar. These two tourist dudes don't recognize it at all. They are just in their little metalhead world, which is a pretty neat commentary on tourism in a way. While the inhabitants have different problems, like Diana with her sister Tornancin. She runs around naked to, like her, supposedly like her foremothers did. But this behavior just doesn't solve problems, just causes trouble and worries for her friends. Here we have Heraclio and Humberto discovering, with the help of the art books from Heraclio, the world of modern art. And this is one of my favorite parts of the story here, where in which we find Humberto sitting on the ground with all these art books around him and finding himself in emotions between bewilderment and excitement. Looking at the paintings or the reproductions of paintings by Miro, Kandinsky and whatever, and whoever. Everything I've ever done is shit. Oh, but this is so silly. This is what heaven must look like, and so on and so on. And Heraclio envies him quite a bit, I think, for this experience. Then we have Maricela and Riri. Trying to hide their love, most importantly before Maricela's mother Luba. Here we have one of these cartoonings that really remind you of the Archie comics, with Guadalupe and this huge book that is stolen by the monkeys that are all over Palomar. And we have Luba making it out with this guy named Khamo, who is really a persiflage of actually female characters usually that are just there for the looks in other comics and don't talk ever. And Khamo just never says a word and is always acknowledged by the female part of the population because of his looks and so on. So this is actually pretty neat. Here we have Khamo as well. No speech bubble at all. And our serial killer strikes again while Humberto is witness to the stuff here. And that happens. And we have in the back advertisement for stuff by Robert Crumb, Charles Burns, Munoz, and whatever, Drew Friedman, and whatever Fantagraphics had published back in the day. So, now to issue 23. Again, this Khamo guy here, and yeah, just look at the start here. Breaking the fourth wall in a way. There's something going on, obviously. They discover one dead body after the other, and there we have Humberto who witnessed this, and these are great panels. In the meantime, Khamo is making love to Pipo, so that Luba is not in the best of moods, and tries to find a substitute to do some kind of revenge on Khamo while the serial killer is still on the loose here. And this is not stuff for the faint of heart, but I really love this scene here in which he tries to seduce Humberto, almost raping him, like you can see here. But the way Gilbert does this here and draws this is really fun in a way. And eventually Humberto's defenses are broken down, and even though he still suffers from all his impressions that he had to watch the murders of. Yeah, some advertisements for Crumb in the middle, more Crumb. And then it's back to Hoppers, to Maggie and her sister Esther over here. And Maggie takes even a beating for her sister, or the likes of Blanca that I mentioned before, because of the Speedy thing, you know. So let's see. And here we have one of the last scenes, if not the last scene, of that guy Speedy, who was never more than a side character in the story. And one of the most toned down and, by the way, depictions of a character's death that you could imagine ever. And then he visits his, as a ghost, it seems, his sister Isabel. Wonderfully done there. And it concludes with some sort of short flashback to a time when, maybe Maggie has seen Speedy for the first time there, and he's always running around, and maybe that was the reason to give him his nickname. So, and let's continue quickly because I'm running out of battery. Here we have issue 24. Here we have Maggie with her friends Kiko and Daffy outside a punk concert, trying to get in, which is a pretty usual trope for Love and Rockets. Just the start of the story here, while Hopey, somewhere else, has to sleep in her car while her band has dissolved because of the egos of all the band members. So just a question of time when Hopey will come back to Hoppers. Human dystrophism by Gilbert comes to some kind of high point or conclusion almost. Here we have more of this artwork by Humberto and confrontation of Khamo and Luba with her signature hammer there, and Khamo still saying no word at all. More of this Archie-style cartooning over here, and Maricella's and Riri's love or romance being discovered, unfortunately, by the sheriff. And we have Tonantzin being force-fed by Carmen and her sister Diana. So, and maybe, or for sure, the most important part of this issue here is Ray making a very important decision here. Not to go to drive at home and reading a book, but hunting down Maggie, so to speak, and with some surprising success, like you can see here. And a fantastic way of storytelling here. And again, like the death of Speedy, this is told actually off-panel, just by closing the door, and we see with her friend there that they just shut off the light, and we can think of the rest that happens there. And the rest are just some hearts. And yeah, one of the reasons why the later storylines, Love Bungalows and so on, have such an impact with us Love and Rockets fans here. Here we have an advertisement for Kim Deitch's Hollywoodland. So, that's all for now from Love and Rockets. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.